Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nishay Snow. You can find me over at nishaysnow.com, NACHESNOW.com. And of course, the show notes for this page and all the links that we mentioned during this episode can be found over there too. You could just go over to nishaysnow.com/28. I have an amazing guest for you today. But before I get into today's guest, I just want to say I hope you guys have had an amazing summer. I know I have. I've really been able to catch up with some good friends and then also meet new people. So that's been really excited. And even over the next 3 weeks, I'm actually going to have my niece here from Chicago, which I'm really excited about. And she's going to an art camp here. So I'm already turning her into like a type A person because we have our schedule set out for the week, which I made her write in her journal. And she'll also have to write in her journal every night. She's going to learn hand lettering and calligraphy. We've already made slime. So yeah, this is going to be really, really fun. And so for those who know me, they're laughing right now because I don't have any children. So me actually watching a small child, and when I say small, 10, is kind of funny because I do kind of live in this like no kid world. But my mom's already had like some good laughs because as we're making slime, like glue is falling on the floor, food color. I'm like, oh my God. But it's good. So this will be an adventure. Follow me at Nishay Snow, and you will probably see some snippets of my life with a child for 3 weeks. It's going to be comical. Anyway, let me get to this week's episode. I have Xiomara here from Unoeth, and that's Unoeth. Definitely go check her out on Instagram. But her and her father started this company a couple of years ago, which is a handmade leather bags company, and they import these bags in from Ethiopia, and they're these beautiful, gorgeous bags. I think I might have to get the backpack or the messenger bag. I think I'm gonna go with the backpack, but I can't make up my mind. And the backpack I want might be sold out right now too, which sucks. But their stuff is so beautiful. Anyway, she tells kind of her story about how she went from marketing and advertising, goes back to school, and then just how like this whole series of events led her to opening this company, which she now runs full time. So with, her father. So I just thought her story was pretty cool. And I tried to have a balance on here of women who have 9-to-5s that are happy and might have a side hustle, or women who decide to take their side hustle to the next level and make it their full-time gig. And so she's one of the full-time gig people. And so I think you'll find her story very inspirational. And if you've ever thought about having a product-based business and maybe even importing some goods, she has some helpful tips for you too. All right, let's get into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have Xiomara on the show. Welcome, Xiomara.
Thank you so much, Nishay, for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so before we get into your beautiful brand, Unoeth, I just love like your photography, the bags, everything about it. I just want you to tell maybe the listeners a little bit about you before you and your father started the company.
Sure, no problem. As you already stated, my name is Xiomara. I'm originally from Sacramento, California. I've been residing in the San Francisco Bay Area for the past 12 years now. First, in my career, I started out in advertising and marketing. I have a business degree with a concentration in marketing, so naturally I started out on that route. And several years into my career, I really realized that I wanted to have more of a say with the product that we would be selling to consumers. I really wanted to have more of a hand in the business side of retail. When I was in college, I worked in retail and I loved it for some reason. I just really just gravitated towards it. And I just loved working with people and I loved the product and I really just had a passion for it. So I really wanted to get back into that. And so after some work and years with sales and marketing and advertising, I went back to school. I went to FIDM, which is the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. here in San Francisco, and I studied fashion merchandise marketing at a graduate program. And it was a tough, like 9-month program, but I learned a lot and I actually like loved school and I didn't want to leave. I really loved my teachers and all the projects and presentations that we had to do. And it really groomed me really well for my next career in merchandising, where I was started out as assistant buyer for Pottery Barn teen brand corporate in San Francisco, and I was there for a couple years, and then I transitioned into Lucy Activewear. And during that transition, that's when I started Unoeth with my dad.
Now, just random question. I'm just curious. Number one, I love San Francisco. It's like so beautiful. I think I've been there like 6 times in the last
Oh,
3 years.
nice.
Yeah, like
Oh, wow.
it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
You should move.
But you know what? It just seems so expensive, though. Is it like really expensive to live there?
Yes, it is. It is very pricey to live in San Francisco. It was funny because when I was in college, I moved from San Francisco my junior year, or my senior year, to Oakland, because back then it was expensive for me, quote unquote, expensive to like find an apartment by myself. And it's so typical for people to have roommates. And it's really hard. It's really a competitive market for sure, housing wise, just to find an apartment and even just living in general. So it is pretty expensive, but it's just, I don't know. I guess people will get used to it.
It's beautiful. Yeah, and it's such a beautiful area too. It's like if you love it, yeah, I guess you just find a way to make it work.
Right. Yeah. It's diverse. The weather is great. I mean, you do get used to, San Francisco is definitely cooler than the East Bay, like Oakland area and whatnot, but it's really hard to leave because I love it so much.
Right. And so, okay, so how did you, or when did you decide to start the company? Like, did something happen? Like, what made you say, like, you know what, I'm going to start, a leather goods company?
Yeah. I will say that our company started on accident, and I'll give you the whole background about it. So my dad is originally from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and he had 2.5-3 years ago, he came back from a trip to visit family, and he had got me a custom-made leather messenger bag as a gift. And I was like, oh my God, Dad, this is perfect for work. And it's great because I commuted from Oakland to San Francisco every day. And so it's hands-free, crossbody kind of style. And I could fit my laptop, etc. And so along with my commute, I would have to take like casual carpool and BART and then walk a mile. So it was a long commute, but strangers would stop me while I was commuting, and they're like, hey, where did you get that bag? I love the style. Looks great quality and whatnot. I was like, oh, it's from Ethiopia. It's custom made. You can't get it. They're like, oh, shoot, that'd be great if I could like buy it somewhere. And the same thing kept happening when I was at work. So my coworkers and friends and family, they would ask the same question, like, where did you get that bag? And I was like, my dad got it for me. The same story over and over again. I was like, this is a trend.
Right.
And I talked to my dad about it. I was like, Dad, like, people are really asking about the messenger bag you got me. He's like, babe, the same thing keeps happening to me too. And he's like, I think that we should start a business. I was like, what? Wait, hold on. Like, and I was in the thick of my like corporate 9-to-5 grind and like really loving my job. And I was like, wait, I just started this. I don't know, Dad. But then my friends would just be like, hey, when is your dad going back to Ethiopia? I'd love to put in a pre-order, like for him to get me the same bag. And I was like, wait, hold the phone. Wait a minute. What's going on here? And so I was like, okay, great. Like, let's just do this. And so I started sketching designs, and my dad sent over the designs and the dimensions over to the artisan and small business that he met while he was there. And they sent us over some samples. We tested out the samples, had some comments and had some revisions. And then we placed our first like purchase order with pre-orders that we had received from my friends and coworkers. And so that happens. And then like my dad came back, you know, with a luggage full of like leather goods. And then they're like, okay, great. So now my friends want some. I was like, what? Okay. All right. So at that point, we're like, okay, we need to do all the groundwork of starting a business, like register with the Board of Equalization and start a website. And what's our name going to be? And then I created a whole different assortment and how would we sell? And so it just kind of like birthed that way, clearly on accident. I was like, I've never thought that I would own a handmade leather goods business. And yeah, that is how we started. And we started 2 years ago in February, like end of February. And that was like our launch of our business officially.
So when you guys decided to do that, like, do you still like work full time somewhere else while running the business? Or was there a point where you were like, okay, I need to like do this full time?
Oh, so yeah, I was definitely working full-time corporate job with Pottery Barn Teen as an assistant buyer. So that was 9 to 5, 40 to 45 hours a week. And then I was also styling for Stitch Fix from home. So that was 15 hours a week. And at the same time, I was planning, my husband and I were looking for a house, and that was really hard to do in the San Francisco Bay Area. It takes you like a year, like minimum to like find a place in like I don't want to say entry level price point. Entry level here is totally different from everywhere else in America. And then also planning a 200 person wedding as well. So I was doing a lot of things at the same time, and I cannot tell you how I managed that. I guess it was just kind of like prioritization, like, okay, what's urgent, what needs to be done now, and then tackling on that way. But yeah, I definitely started off over full-time, like super full-time with my business, where typically like we would sell at markets. We had like monthly markets in the Bay Area where it's like one is Jack of all trades, which is every second Saturday in Oakland. And then the other one is Treasure Island Market, which is the last weekend of every month. And so I basically work at those markets every other weekend, basically, and then sell online and whatnot. So yeah, it was a lot going on, but
it's like work, right?
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. Like when you find like your passion, it doesn't really seem like work. So
yeah, no, I completely agree. So at some point, did you say like, okay, I'm going to do this full time?
I did. It got to a point where it just got to be like too much. And so I started hacking off things like one by one. So the first thing that went was my part-time styling job with Stitch Fix. I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So that's the first one that went. And then we bought the house, so that was done. And then we got married, so that was done. So then I was left basically with my full-time and then with my business. And I took the leap of faith, the big leap, last July. So next month it'll be a full year that I've been a full-time entrepreneur. And I took that leap because at that point I was a freelancer for Lucy Activewear, and that's how it's actually started off with that company, because I quit Pottery Barn so I can get this freelance job with Lucy Activewear so I could have the flexibility to run my business more from home. After that, then I was like, okay, well, this is it. I'm going to take this jump. And I did it. And in July, like right after that, we did a crowdfund through Kiva. And Kiva is like a nonprofit organization where you can crowdfund up to $10,000 for a small business with a 0% interest on that. So we launched that, and that really definitely helped, the beginning of my entrepreneur career too. So, and our business and we were gearing up for holiday season, and that was like the biggest part of our business too. So that really, really helped.
Yeah, and can you tell me about that decision? Because I feel like a lot of listeners out here, like some are like working full time while also like juggling a business, and so they're trying to like figure out like that right time to make that jump. It's so scary, right? Because you're like, I
Right.
got benefits, I got a steady check coming in.
Yeah.
Your side business, may or may not be paying enough at the time to like pay all your bills. So for you, like,
Right.
what made you
Right.
say like, okay, I can do this?
Yes. Definitely took some planning. You have to look at like what are your monthly liabilities? Like what do you have to pay every single month to like keep yourself afloat? And also
Mm,
like what do you need to like pay for food, like your necessities, food, transportation, blah blah blah. And those are like your hardcore of what you need to pay yourself. And I always like read a lot of like books like Think and Grow Rich or anything by Tony Robbins or whatnot, like pay yourself.
mm,
And I looked at that was one of the first part where I looked at, I'm like, okay, can I really make this business work? And also you got to look at your sales and are they really sufficient enough for you and consistent, like, and what is your sales trend, so you can really evaluate what is your future is going to look like and what are your
mm-hmm.
future. Say for me, like last year, a lot of our sales came from markets. We did like Renegade Craft Fair, which is a huge,
Oh, yeah.
huge market for any type of like small business or whatnot that you do in a weekend or any pop-up shops that we did. We also were carried in more stores, so we would receive more sales from the stores. So we just kind of like expanded our sales channels.
Mm,
But I also I also heard from fellow like entrepreneurs as well as like there's never really going to be the perfect time
mm.
for you to really take that leap. It's going to be scary regardless. Um,
Right.
unless you like really like saved like a lot of, you could save a lot of money or some sort of money to support yourself for 6 months or maybe a year, something like that, so you could be extra sure in your decision. But yeah, those definitely planning, like plan that stuff out first before just like, hey, I'm just going to do this. It's going to be fun. Yeah. When you don't really have a plan, everything needs to have a plan.
Right. And I think you're right. Like no matter what it is, scary because I know folks who like have the money saved up maybe for 6 months to a year, but then it's something else, right? Well, I need to make sure I make X amount a month, or I need to. You're probably going to
Mm-hmm.
continue to make excuses because it's until you kind
Mm-hmm.
of get over that fear a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's never, there's, your plans are never going to go according to plan. Like something will happen. Like the universe will test you on how bad you really want to be an entrepreneur or to make your business succeed or to have a certain lifestyle or whatever it may be. Like you're going to face adversity regardless. It's just something that you are going to have to, you can't go around it. You can't go under it. You can't go over it. You have to go right through it. And, the light is at the end of the tunnel. Success is like never a straight line. It's going to be
Hmm.
dips. There's going to be curves. And so you're going to feel it, but then you're just going to get to a point where either you're used to it or you're just like it doesn't bother you as much. As you don't see it as an obstacle. You really see it as just, a simple hurdle
Right.
and you're going
No.
to find a way to get over it.
And then so you like start this like, your online store, you're going to all these kind of fairs and markets like around
Mm-hmm.
town. But I see you also have like a physical store too.
Right.
So so at what point were you like, was it after you kind of got the money, from Kiva? But at what point were you like, okay, we can now open a store? Because that's a big deal, brick and mortar.
Yes. I had worked retail a lot, and I also worked for a small business too, small business retailer store too, and I was a little hesitant to do that because of the overhead of running a store, and you only make sales when your store is actually open, so somebody needs to be there. My first initial goal was to just like drive this banging awesome online store where we're just like shipping out every day and whatnot. And the thing about online is that, it takes a while and it takes a lot of like work, SEO wise, or just like collaborating with bloggers and just a lot of online work and groundwork to really get your online footprint and presence really known. But another thing with my store or with my product is that people love to smell leather and they
They
love to
do.
feel it. And yes, it's like such an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And just the tactile experience too of just like carrying the bag and touching it. And people, even when I'm at Renegade Craft Fair, Jack of all trades market or whatnot, people will literally come into my booth and just come in to smell it. And I'm at the point where I'm completely nose blind to the leather. I'm just like, I can't smell leather anymore. Yeah, it's pretty funny. And, but so with the brick and mortar, I had actually started working with a business advisor to plan out like my next 3 years so I can really build my foundation of my business and to make sure that I'm like really organized and set up for success and not just like freestyling it to make it. I had actually been approached by another retailer to partner with them in renting out a part of their space in their current store that they had. And I was like, oh, this is a cool idea. And I was talking about that with my business advisor at Optima Business Bootcamp. She was like, that's a really great idea. You should look into it. And we went back and forth on the numbers and like the retail square footage and just the overall kind of like brand aesthetic and collaboration. And at that point, I didn't feel like it was a great fit and I wasn't really ready for it at the time. But then one of the stores that had already carried my line called Concept 47, the owner, Stevon Ratliff, she contacted me and was like, hey, Zio, people call me Zio as a nickname. And I found this great space in San Francisco and I'd love to collaborate with you and open a store together. Here's the address. Feel free to check it out. Here's the rent, blah, blah, blah. We can collaborate on ideas and whatnot. And so my dad and I went to go check it out, the space, and it's in the Lower Haight in San Francisco. And it's such a great neighborhood feel. And one of the things about San Francisco is that there are so many different pockets of the city that it kind of has that last like real neighborhood feel. There's a lot of gentrification going on and a lot of new hipsters places coming out, which I love. I love new business. I love new creativity and whatnot, but it still has that real San Francisco feel. A lot of like families, a lot of diversity, tons of small business, not a lot of chains at all. I just fell in love with it. And I was like, yes, girl, let's do it. When can we open? And so we're shooting for in April. And so we actually opened during like the neighborhood art walk. And we had our launch party on April 29th. The store is called Concept 47, featuring Unoeth. And we had a great
April
party.
29th this year?
Of this year, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is fresh. Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're babies. We're babies. So okay. Almost 2 months. Yeah, 2 months next week.
Wow. Well, how has it been? Like, because I'm looking at the pictures now, and I'll make sure to include a link in the show notes, but the store looks like beautiful. I love like the wood floors. I love the furnishing. Like everything is gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was such a blessing because all we needed to do was just paint. And Stevon is like, she's the best business partner and she is so resourceful. And she actually found a store that was going out of business and they were literally selling everything from their store, from merchandise to the fixtures. So we literally pretty much took all their fixtures and put it in our store and really just made it our own. And we both of our brands are just very clean aesthetic, natural, like minimalist, and just let the product speak for itself. And we really wanted our products to stand out and just have like a very welcoming kind of feel. And so we just installed shelving and hung up fixtures and hooks everywhere and There's a space in the back where Siobhan's doing her production for her Beija Flor body care line, and it's just been really, really great. And windows and whatnot. It's just kind of like a great setup that we just looked up on.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Now, for those out there that either have a product-based business or thinking about starting one, are there any kind of lessons learned that you could pass on from the, past couple of years that if that you're like, "Ooh, I wish I would have known that."
Yes. So with me, since I'm an importer of goods from Ethiopia, I had to learn like everything about like customs and getting clearance and HTS codes and how to fill out a customs form. And there are a lot of rules and like regulations, and especially when it comes in terms of duty and whatnot. And a lot of the things you're going to learn by trial and error and by actually doing it. So it was difficult for us to, in the beginning, to even get product over from Ethiopia, because our artisan his name is Muzayan Siraj, and he approached my dad and said that, "Hey, I'd love to partner with you and your daughter, and I want to start my own leather export business." We were like, "Yes, we'll definitely help you." So he went and got his leather export license, and we started sending purchase orders or whatnot. But he also had to jump through a bunch of hoops with like the government and the Department of blah, blah, blah to send over the goods in general. And then I had to go to the customs department and work with someone in the customs department to fill out a form and like look at an airway bill. I was like, I never knew what an airway bill was, and the packing list and whatnot. So filling that out, and now learning that I can just hire like a customs clearance like company to
Nice.
do that for me. I was like, great, because especially when my order started getting larger and larger, I'm just like, okay, I can just hire somebody to do this, so I won't have to deal with the headache, and they're awesome.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just for product-based business based on if they're importing from outside the U.S., definitely there's a lot of hurdles you're going to have to deal with customs and whatnot. So I definitely had to learn some lessons there. But every lesson, like every like experience or challenge is just something you're going to take under your belt and really know how to do better the next time. For sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of things I learned just by doing, because I had no idea. None.
And what's next for your business? Like, I mean, I guess you're kind of, or are you already kind of in that next phase, which is like the brick and mortar, and then, continue to do like the online sales?
Yes. Online for sure. Definitely expanding that. But with our current product assortment, we have a lot of goods and bags and accessories tailored to women, but the guys are complaining to me. They want stuff for guys. So, they want a lot of things too. And so we're in development of more bags and like backpacks and briefcases and accessories for guys. And especially we have like headphone holders, but more, I guess, like smaller accessories for tech. And then also we're partnering with more vendors. We're kind of duplicating our process that we're doing now with working with one artisan to help his own leather export business, working with another artisan to start their business so they can employ other artisans as well. And it's kind of like this nice like umbrella effect to increase the business environment in Addis and also to employ other artisans as well. And then we're also going to be expanding into woven goods. So wovens is like a huge market, yes, in Ethiopia. When you go to Ethiopia, you will find fabulous hand-woven cotton blankets or scarves and apparel. And so we already sell scarves like in our store, but we're just going to be expanding more in that department. and especially into home decor and maybe into shoes. We're still working out those kinks, but those are coming up in the next couple years. So stay tuned for that.
No, very cool. And then before I ask you the two wrap-up questions, I'm just curious about the store. I know it's only been open for 2 months now, but are you kind of manning the store, or did you end up having to hire help? And if so, like, how has that been?
So currently, Stevon covers 3 days, my business partner, and then I cover 3 days out the week, and we're closed on Monday, so we're only open 6 days a week. And so I'm there 3 days for now, but with the markets and with our retail clients and with online, it's just getting to a point where we are like where I am searching for people excellent motivated sales associates to cover the store while I'm gone. So for now, it's me. But definitely towards the holiday timeline, there's going to be a couple employees.
Yeah. Well, no, very cool. And so for those of you in San Francisco or who go to San Francisco, like I'll have the address in the show notes, but it is it 631 Haight? Am I saying that right? Haight
Yes,
Street?
Haight. Yes,
Yeah,
Haight Street. Not HT.
Right, yeah. And so first wrap-up question is, have you found your passion? And it doesn't necessarily have to relate to your business. If so, what is it? And if not, what are you doing to find it?
I believe I have found my passion. I've always had a passion for retail and business. I always wanted to marry my creative side of my brain and my business and analytical side of my brain. So I get the creativity and the power to create my own assortment and to design and to collaborate with the artisans on the finished product. And then I also get the opportunity to drive business and how we can expand our brand. Found my passion in that for sure. And I also found my passion where I get to help others start their own businesses as well. So I feel like I'm also giving back to my roots in Ethiopia with the opportunity of business and with employment as well. So I definitely feel like that's kind of like where my career and like lifestyle just naturally landed. And I always wanted to have my own business. I've just come from a family of women entrepreneurs. My mom is an attorney. She has her own law firm in Sacramento. My grandma was a serial entrepreneur, and she so much so that she opened a restaurant when she was 70 years old. She's just such a
Go
a hustler.
Wow.
Yes, such a hustler. So I definitely have that in my blood, and I just love the freedom of dictating what my life can look like. I love to design my life basically, and what I want to do and when I want to do it and how. And I never really wanted a limit of how much I can make or earn or do, I guess I just never really liked being told what to do.
Well, this is like, because you could like make your own hours, right? And there is no limit on what you can make. You don't have to wait for someone to give you a raise. Like, yeah,
right.
I mean,
you don't have to wait for someone to resign, to
move up,
exactly. Any of that. So yes, I created my own position, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And then there's clearly a pattern of like that love for kind of like retail and passion. So it seems like just through the years, you've just kind of gone with the flow and just naturally have stuck with what is kind of like in your blood, like things that, you love. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what is one thing you can't live without? It could be anything. It could be a product, food, person, anything.
Sparkling water. I literally drink a liter of like sparkling water every day. I replaced it with like diet sodas or whatnot. I just love carbonation. So I drink sparkling water every day. I can't live without my cell phone because I run my
Yeah.
business off of that. I feel like the rest of the world can agree with me on that. And then coffee.
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah.
two beverages and my cell phone. I don't know if that's sad or what.
No, hey, it's good. Yeah. And I see your website is with like Shopify too. And I love Shopify and they have like an
Yes.
amazing app. So it's
Yes.
like it allows you to run everything off of your phone. Yeah.
Yes. And Shopify, I just love the apps, all the apps that you can integrate with it. And even I can integrate Shopify with my QuickBooks and like everything. So they're doing a really great job.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast. Can you let the listeners know where to find you, your website, and then your social media handles?
Absolutely. So you can find Unoeth at www.un as in Nancy, O-E, T as in Tom, H as in Harry.com to shop. And you can also find us on Instagram. That's Unoeth, Unoeth. And we're also on Facebook as well.
Yeah, and people definitely check her stuff out. Like all your photography is like amazing. Do you have like a
Oh,
professional photographer you work with?
oh my God, my friend Kim Davalos. She's based here in
Mm.
the Bay Area. She's amazing, and she's done my past two photo shoots. She's like, I literally just tell her, I just get my model, we pick out our clothes, I pick out the location. I was like, go have fun. Like I don't care. I mean, she has a great creative eye, and
Yeah.
she's just so dope. So if you are ever looking for a photographer, Kim Davalos is your girl. And that's Kim as in Mary, D as in David, A, V as in Victor, A-L-O-S as in Sam, Davalos.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'll include her name in the show notes too. Give her some love.
Yes, please. She's awesome.
Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much, Nishay. I was so grateful to have this opportunity to speak to you and your podcast.
Hey guys, I just really, really enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys did too. I think she is a great example about how hard work really pays off. And when the time is right, you can then take that leap of faith. Because she talks about at one point she was working at like Pottery Barn. She was also doing some stuff for Lucy Activewear. She was working part time for Stitch Fix. At one point, she was buying a house and planning a wedding and then still trying to like run kind of Unoeth all at the same time, like trying to make all these things work. And, to include, doing trade shows like, or markets like Jack of All Trades and Treasure Island Market. And I'll tell you guys, like packing up all that stuff, going to the market, unpacking, you may or may not get great sales that day. Packing that stuff back up, taking it back home, it is no joke and it takes hours out of your week. And so she really, I feel like, hustled her butt off and really was able to kind of achieve success. It didn't come like right away. Like, I think sometimes people think things just happen in like a month or 6 months, but it did happen for her. And then when the time was right, she took that leap of faith. And I love her quote where she's like, success is never a straight line, right? There was some lessons learned for importing her products in that she had to work through and probably some other challenges too, but she worked through them and her father worked through them. And now she's expanding really, I feel like, her journey and her business by doing this brick and mortar and going into this men's line possibly. So kudos to you, Xiomara. Keep hustling, keep doing your thing. And I hope you guys out there found this inspirational. And if you're at a point where you're also juggling all the things, know that at some point things will work out. It just takes time and it doesn't have to be perfect either. Because she has another great quote where she says, it's never going to be the perfect time to take the leap of faith. It's always going to be scary, but you'll know. And when you know, you should do it. All right, folks, that is all from me. Please be sure to rate me on iTunes. You can go over to nishasnow.com/iTunes and give me a nice little rating, 5 stars. I love you for life. If you're already listening to me in the Apple Podcast app, please rate me 5 stars on there. And if you aren't an Apple person, please rate me on Stitcher, or you can just by sharing or liking my episodes or even commenting on the show notes. Like, all of that stuff really helps out, and it really helps spread the word about the podcast. And thank you to everyone who's done it already. All right. You guys have a good one. Catch me over on Instagram at Nisha Snow, or Facebook. Just type in Studio 78 Podcast and I'll be right there. And I will catch you all next week with another amazing guest. Talk to you later. Bye.